I always like mix my rice with beans, and I was told that makes me from Louisiana.
Well, you look like a Cajun.
I mean,
you got
I got
the
that.
name.
I got
You got
that.
the name.
Come on. I just migrated late. I lived in New Orleans for 8 years, so maybe that's where I picked it up.
That's it.
Say where you lived again?
I lived in New Orleans for 8 years. When I first came down from upstate New York, and I can tell you that was a real cultural change for me. Got a little laissez-faire, you know.
The time is 12 p.m. and I would like to call to order the Economic Development Corporation for the City of White House, Texas. It's August 15th, 2024. Susan, would you call the roll, please?
Yes, sir. Bob Breedlove, Charles Parker.
Here.
Ernie LaFleur.
Here.
John Chambers.
Here.
Maria Davenport.
Here.
Tom Trimble.
Here.
And Jerry Akins. We have a quorum.
Okay. Item 1 is the consent agenda from the last meeting. Are there any questions, changes, input regarding that?
I move the minutes be approved as presented.
A second.
Motion is second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Hearing any opposition? Hearing none, the motion carries. Item C is presentations. Item D is public forum.
Sure, I'll speak.
Okay,
As feedback to the
Please.
last meeting,
please state your name and address for the record.
Miles McQuarrie, 215 Shahan Trail.
Thank you. Go ahead, Miles.
As feedback to the last meeting on the tabled items, I would ask that you consider the return on the investment to the community and especially the taxpayers. Please hold the consultants to goals to ensure that the EDC is acting as a good steward for those funds. Thank you.
Thank you. Item E, agenda items, discussion, consideration, and action on retail recruitment consultant.
Yes, sir. Since the last meeting, Retail Coach did provide a little additional information that I put at your places. They will also come in and provide some training for staff, for council, and for this body if we wish. That is included in the cost of their proposal, no additional cost there. And they are also ready to begin marketing us at Retail Live, which is at the end of this month in Austin. And so if you guys choose to go with them, we can get that done by the end of the month, and they will start their recruitment for us.
And you said that was retail coach?
Retail Coach, yes, sir. And I didn't hear from anyone with any questions. Were there any questions that you guys had about either or any of those proposals after you read through them?
There were a couple of people, one of which is missing this
Yeah,
meeting.
Jerry, yeah.
Jerry had some questions last meeting. I wanted a chance to review it more than anything else, which we agreed to.
And she has reviewed, I'm sorry to interrupt, she has reviewed and she wrote me back after she had expected to be here today. Something last minute came up, and she said her recommendation is Retail Coach.
Oh,
After
good,
review.
good.
Yeah.
The cost difference was very substantial.
Right. We had 3 proposals, as you recall. One from the Souls College of Business, the Retail Coach, and the Retail Academy. There we go.
Retail Strategy.
Or strategies, yeah, there you go. I personally am more familiar with the Retail Coach because what I've seen them do in early, which I brought out last meeting. But, you know, as a body and as a city staff, I don't know that we're necessarily qualified, nor do we have the manpower or the time or anything else to go, sell the city of White House, if you will. And I think that's what this partnership is basically about, is being able to further that cause. And when you talk about growth of the city, obviously our income is a percentage of the sales tax as it is today, but certainly the city revenue also derives off of that, and that's the best way, I think, to grow our city is to have more tax dollars coming in off our 2.5%, as opposed to you know, some other methods necessarily. Obviously, we would love to have more primary jobs and that, but I think to serve our citizens, our 9,000 plus population, they have service needs, and that includes all of the things that are involved with retail. And I think, judging on past history of what we've seen come and go inside the city, is we've seen a lot of mom and pops come and go. Well, you know, when they go, it kind of hurts a little bit. And I think one of the reasons is that, I mean, I think nationally, if you talk to anybody looking at any stats, you're looking at about 85% failure of most mom and pop operations. But if you've got a established retailer with a game plan and a business plan that actually comes in the door, and they can build buildings, improve some sites, and do some things that are far beyond our scope. And so I think this is beneficial to the city in a number of ways because of that. And that's where you see the improvements, because just like when they build, you know, whether it's the Chicken Express or the Domino's or the newly under construction Taco Bell or Starbucks or whatever else, each of those is an improvement on that property. And when that property improves, the property value goes up accordingly, which also means that the adjacent properties become more valuable. So your city becomes more valuable with that process, as well as it's a stepping stone, if you will. So anyway, I'm talking all the way through this so that, you know, for the record and for the transparency purposes and everything else, these are all things that I know you all know, but I'm interested to hear any of your input or any further discussion on this matter.
It was my understanding that also in the interview process, you felt a little more comfortable with the local experience of retail coach. Is that right? I want to make sure.
Yes, sir.
It seems a much more reasonable proposal financially and so forth than the other, which was retail strategies was way more expensive, several times more expensive.
Well, if you're just talking about collecting data and being able to have that on a website or have something for people to look at, there are any number of sources, including Encore, that provide a number of those kinds of things already available to us out there. But again, I go back to the ability to actually have contacts within the retail industry that can say, hey, there's this place called White House. I think that's the difference maker.
Yeah.
And where that goes. So, I don't know. What other thoughts y'all have?
I like the idea of having somebody out there doing that. We don't have a full-time person to go out there and sell us like other folks. So having somebody out there to sell this part of White House to the retailers, to anybody that can come in and build and increase what we're hearing. I mean, we wanna increase our sales tax revenue. That's a direct implication of that.
I think all of us want a prettier city. We want a more established community. We want foundational enterprises that provide for long-term sustained economic growth, as well as benefit the citizens. And, you know, I think this is a step in the right direction. You know, it may not be what a Tyler Economic Development Council would do or some other city, but, you know, I think any organization has to be unique for their community's needs. And I think ours is a little bit different in that, you know, people hear about Tyler, but they don't necessarily know anything about White House. And so, you know, I think this is a realistic approach and something that we've looked at. John, what do you think?
My perspective really hasn't changed since the last meeting, right? Like, people that have direct experience from dealing with the company and all that, actions speak a lot louder to me than words. So I just think that past success that people can directly attest to goes a long way. And it does, the financial impact certainly doesn't hurt either, so I think it just makes sense at this point.
Maria?
It makes sense, and both of them basically provide the same information. We just have no history of one of them more than the other, and the price one is big difference.
Susan and I were discussing this morning, and I think, you know, we worked really hard, at least in the time I've been here, and I'm sure before I came, to maximize those relationships that we have with developers that are here locally. You see that with, you know, Whataburger and DKT and Triple J's, Taco Bell is a local connection. Even Starbucks was a result of Susan's work with Dollar Tree and Family Dollar. That was the same developer, so that relationship developed over a couple of years, and that's what ultimately got us to Starbucks. And so I think we've tried to maximize those connections as best we can, but our EDC is so new, we don't have a seat at the table with those retailers. And I think that's what this opportunity gets us. To Mr. McCrary's point, I do think we need to make sure that we are staying on top of what they are doing on our behalf in a measurable way. But as you all know, the commercial development market is impacted by a lot of factors, not just putting White House's name out there. So it would be a matter of how many contacts have you made on our behalf? What are the results? What's the feedback? Why are we or are we not getting some of those things? I think that'll be crucial. I think just having someone advocate on your behalf that has the ear of those developers and retailers is key.
Economics are gonna dictate, you know, I mean, but, you know, so then you would go back and if you said, okay, well, maybe we should wait till the economy gets better. Well, I don't think that's when you start. I think you start now, and then, you know, the economy's gonna do this, and it's just up and down, and so, you know, you just have to ride the ebbs and flows that go with that piece of it. And, I mean,
You have to be ready when the
Yeah.
opportunity is
Yeah,
there, so
exactly.
you better
You have
be
to have that
prepared.
relationship already in place.
and as you just pointed out, sometimes these relationships are not immediate. You know, they take years to develop, and so the person that looks at you today, it may not cross their mind again for a couple of years, and then they're coming back and going, oh, let's revisit that. And so, you know, planting seeds, but that's sales in general.
Well, even Taco Bell, who is here locally in town and driving by every day, I mean, we saw how long, you know, that process took because of the economic market and some of those kind of things. So I think this will only benefit us in developing and maintaining those relationships over the long term.
Okay. I guess the motion would be to approve the contract for the retail coach.
Right.
So I guess I'll go ahead and make the motion.
I'll second the motion.
Would there be any further discussion? And since we're gonna spend some money, may we have a roll call vote, please?
Tom Trimble,
Aye.
Maria Davenport,
Aye.
Charles Parker,
Aye.
John Chambers, and Ernie LaFleur.
Aye.
The motion carries unanimously. On to item agenda 2. Discussion of meeting with specialized public finance.
So the finance director, Jennifer Luskin, and I met with Specialized Public Finance earlier this week to talk about a whole number of things, both city-related, EDC-related. They are still updating some numbers for me. They were using current year EDC budget, which we know is gonna be, your revenues significantly increased or double than what they are. So they're gonna go back and rerun some of that to look at it. I will say that cities across the state did see a slowdown in the economy this year. You're seeing that with neighboring cities that are having to raise property tax rates, their sales tax is down as well. But we did, when we talked about the overall economic health of both the city and the EDC, we're in a great position. I think we'll continue to see steady growth, but as soon as I get those revised numbers, I'll get that back over to you. So they needed to do a little bit more work, and they are slammed this time of year with all cities working on their budgets. So hopefully I should have that by the end of the week, and I'll email that out. I won't wait for your next meeting. I'll go ahead and email the EDC portion out to you as soon as I get it and we're confident in the numbers that they're using. But they were using some current year numbers that I wanted them to go back and take another look at.
Yeah. Makes sense.
And they were, one question I do have for the board, so they had asked if these would be a taxable financing or a non-taxable financing, in other words, what the use would be, and I said you primarily want to look at purchasing property for business development, and so that would be a taxable sale, and so they're running those numbers under that assumption for me.
Okay.
Sorry, I don't have more information on that one.
Anybody else?
I think preliminary, they were looking at about $1 million borrowing issuance, so, and that was based on the current budget, so we could go a little bit higher with increased revenue numbers.
That's the figure I roughly came up with.
Which, that gets you 25 to 35 acres right now.
But it also depends on the length of the term,
Right.
And it also would depend heavily on what that return might look like, in terms of revenue, et cetera, so.
And whether or not you want to build a building on any land, what kind of utilities would need to be installed. I mean, there are several different factors we'd need to look at as to what that would get you, so.
Right. But it wouldn't preclude this body from considering blighted properties or other things that we could acquire for future use or lease or whatever, which gives us steering capabilities for the future to be able to develop what we think is best, or, and visiting with consultants what might be the highest and best use for that piece of property. And, that's always the question with real estate, isn't it? Highest and best use. Because what you think it is and what it turns out to be might be something totally different. Okay. All right, since we have nothing on that, let's go to item 3, the update on the EDC website.
Yes, sir. As you know, we have been working with ETCOG, and they have been making progress on our site, and I have a little preview for you today, if y'all would like to see what we have. 1 second. This is a preview. It is not finished by any means. At the top here is the top of our page. Oh, okay.
Sure, we can share,
Is it coming?
Go ahead, it's on.
Okay. Um, So Leslie and I are quite excited about it. We do have some work left to do on photos. And some of these are stock photos, some are just some that we had. They're putting them in just so you see something.
Some content development we still need to do.
Still to do. And I have talked with her about this. On a regular screen, it doesn't do this, but it does look odd even on a mobile site or a mobile device. So we'll go over that.
Yeah, it's pretty hard to read.
Yeah, it is.
Right. But if you look at it here on my screen, it's perfectly fine. So I don't know what the difference is, but it's something to look at. Is there a certain place that you guys would like to go and look? Is there something in
Under the demographic, or the community profile page or something,
profile?
under doing business.
Sorry, it's hard for me.
Next one, yeah.
There we go.
So that's still linking to
Mhm,
Encore, which
to
is good,
Encore.
I just wasn't sure, okay, I'll go back, sorry.
No, it's okay. If y'all want, I'll scroll down where y'all can see.
Sean, do you know how often y'all update those numbers?
We update this, I think twice a year. I have to find out exactly, but I'm pretty sure it's twice a year.
Boy, that's really good having that kind of info out there, though.
We do this for all 400 plus of our communities.
Wow.
And the information, you can go into a deep dive on this, but anybody that's looking for demographics or data on the city of White House will get everything they possibly need in there.
Terrific.
That's all of the things there. I haven't.
Startup assistance,
I
yeah,
haven't-
I'd like to know what that is.
I
Like we said, we
been
haven't
through
done a
this,
lot of the content pages
so-
yet, but
Oh, I know, I'm kidding.
we've got some placeholder information. We do have they are supposed to come out and take photos of the community. We've got a photo list kind of put together for them. So some of those yeah, you can see it's linking to like McKinney right now.
Yeah, it's not,
Okay.
yeah.
But
Yeah, no,
anyway,
but
we
that's
are
good
making some
stuff.
progress on it.
Yeah,
Looks good.
We're excited.
yeah, I am
Moving
too.
forward. The city website's kind of undergoing it's not kind of, it is undergoing a redesign right now too, so hopefully in the next month, I think we'll have that ready to go.
Well, and if it links to the properties, that's a great thing too, yeah.
Yeah.
That is work that we still need to do.
That actually looks current though, Susan.
It does.
So that's something we haven't had before, so we're excited.
Yeah,
to have
I think that would be really helpful.
One of the challenges with this though, that we need help from those trying to market properties is a lot of time commercial properties are not listed on commercial real estate listings. So like LoopNet or any of those, they aren't listed on there for whatever reason. I don't know what the reason is, but you can't find them on there a lot of times. So, we need to do some work with brokers, I guess, to make sure they're listing it commercially.
That's good.
That doesn't really make a lot of sense if you're actually under contract trying to sell a piece of property and then you don't market it.
I know, I don't, but I've seen that with several different ones. That you just can't find them on those sites.
Will the retail coach have some input into this going forward as well?
Yeah, that's a good idea.
And staff will be fully trained on how to update and make changes, all those things. And EdCog will also be available. If it's something that's more technical that we don't have the ability to do, they are happy to do those things for us.
In the About Us, do we have anything talking up the great educational system we have here in White House.
That is something we need to add.
Yeah, that's a real big thing for our area, and a lot of reason why people move here is because of the exceptional school systems.
Access to a junior college and a college, and, yeah, there's
Medical school.
medical school.
Yeah, it's a huge thing we have going for us.
Think, go to the, demographics. Business. It might be under talent pool. But it goes through in there, educational and everything that's,
Oh, so sorry.
Okay.
all the nearby educational entities
There you
Oh,
go.
that's
that are
good.
close.
Yeah, so maybe as simple as a link to that. But if somebody's looking at us, we wanna make sure they appreciate that. It's one of our big pluses.
So that has a good bit of information in there.
Yeah, yeah. That's a huge step forward, getting that website like that.
Just having a place to start inputting the content was,
Yeah.
was huge. And I think, with EdCog's resources, some of those that we share, such as, workforce development, workforce solutions, that EdCog is the one that does that for this region. So having them kind of plug directly into that will help us have a lot more content from the get-go than what we would have if we were just doing it on our own.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's we have all this data, it's great data to have for our cities, but until you have a website to highlight it,
Yeah,
it's hard to get it out there.
Yeah, average Joe Schmo may not know to go to Encore to get it.
So we'll start, up until now, I think we've been primarily focused on design, kind of elements of it, but we'll start looking at content on that, moving that project forward.
I like it. I think it's off to a great start. I'd like to be able to read the phone number though.
Yes, yes. Is there any other thoughts or questions you want me to talk with them about and see about adding? Are we good? For now.
I think this is a great start.
Yeah.
Okay.
As we get into it and we get some feedback from other people, I think we can, adjust accordingly.
Of course.
But nothing's standing out to me right at this minute. Maybe one of you guys.
No, I agree, it looks like a great start.
Hit the home button again.
I guess the only thing I would look at, sometimes when you put a lot of pictures on the front of the page, I know we had this problem with our website, where I work, is it can be slow loading if there's videos or pictures or whatever, so somebody might want to time test that. I'm not a IT guy, so I know that it was taking our page like 45 seconds to load even with high-speed internet because they had some videos and stuff on there.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a problem, and so they pull some of that stuff off, and it's like, 3 seconds, there you go. Because people move on in 45 seconds. The attention span is not what it used to be.
I can't test it at my house because we have fiber, so it's fast.
Well, I'll be happy to pull it up. How do I get to it? Is it out there now? It's
I'll
still
send
in
you the
development.
link. It's still in development.
But
I'll
anyway,
send
when you
you
ever
the
get to that point, you want some people just to test it out.
I mean, I tried it on my phone. I had no issues getting it to load, so it came up. But yes, I can send the link and I'll take a look.
That looks great.
And it's mobile friendly too.
Yes.
Okay. Good job.
Like it, terrific, yeah.
Awesome. Glad y'all like it.
Taking pictures of our parks and stuff in there, that's great too, yeah.
So, on the list.
On the list, all the things.
All the things, right?
It's on Stephanie's list. She put that together.
Yeah, make sure you do that in the spring or summer, before it
Yeah.
either burns up or all the leaves fall off. Right.
All the grass is green.
The grass is green. Okay, anything else on the website? Okay, item 4, consider future agenda items. I guess we want to revisit the specialized public financing again. I don't remember what we had on there from last time that we wanted to move forward with. I've slept a couple of days since then.
You don't, okay.
I have a question, I don't know how that, what this fits in as an agenda item or not, I'm just throwing it out for discussion. I'm still very curious about, with the big new park development that's gonna be going on, you know, behind Brookshire's and so forth, is there property adjacent to it or near it that could possibly be sites for professional buildings like that?
Well, that would be a great,
That,
future agenda item.
yeah, something like that.
Anything else? No? Okay, add administrative reports, receive reports from staff.
I had our sales tax report pulled up and now it will not load, so I'll just give you an update. For the month of August, our sales tax was down about $9,000 from the same month prior year. Which again is pretty typical what we're seeing across the state. Even with a conservative estimate for September, I feel like our sales tax receipts for the fiscal year will be flat compared to prior year. And when I say $9,000 down, that's for the entire city's sales tax collection, not just EDC. But again, we're seeing that across the state, so we'll be down about $5,000 for the year for our entire penny and a half sales tax collection, which is probably as best as we could expect compared to what everybody else is seeing. I do want to say it's not all doom and gloom. I ran the percentage number, and we've seen a 59% increase in our sales tax collections since 2020.
Wow.
So that's pretty remarkable.
Yeah.
And something you guys should be really proud of. So that was exciting when I ran it that way, instead of just looking at it year over year. That report goes back to 2020. So that was really good news.
Boy, that could be a cool graph on our website, you know. Well, no, I guess we're not talking about our income, so.
Well, if the city's sales tax income is up
I just seen a
50%,
graph go like
so is
that.
yours. So that's good.
There is a neighboring city who is consistently posting that data on their Facebook page.
So had we not, you know, if you remember a few months ago, we had about a $30,000 refund. So had we not had that, our sales tax receipts for the year would have been up. So now whether that's because they overpaid previously and we shouldn't have gotten it to begin with or whatever, but I think I'm pretty happy with where we're going to end this fiscal year when it comes to sales tax. When I was meeting with Specialized Public Finance, they were talking about some of the things that other cities have been facing and the decline in their both sales tax and property taxes. I feel like we're in a really good position. So I think that's because a lot of ours we don't have a whole lot of discretionary spending sales tax receipts that happen within our city limits. There's a lot of discretionary internet spending that we get sales tax from, but there's not a lot that you can cut out that you're already spending in the city. So it makes ours a little bit more stable than some of our neighboring cities.
There are some cities in Texas that do not have property taxes and rely solely on sales taxes, and those communities are suffering. I don't know what the stats are, but I would assume that discretionary spending probably is down, not just in Texas, but probably nationwide. Prices have gone up, budgets have tightened. You know, it's just the ebb and flow of the economy, if you will. So, supply and demand. Anyway, what else?
Guarantee you my wife is not worried about sales tax right now, so.
Taco Bell is inching closer and closer to completion, so hopefully maybe next week it'll be
Really?
open. So that's exciting.
Yes. I can,
It's looking good.
There,
yeah. They have a soft opening coming up.
Yeah.
that's what I was gonna say is, when is the grand opening?
I have not heard a grand opening
Okay.
date. Has the chamber said anything?
Pretty excited.
I'm always excited for something new.
With that $5,000.
Do what?
Help with that $5,000 deficit.
All right, well, we don't have anything to talk about in executive session, so unless there's anything else, time is 12:35.